Senate will come back to order. Gino. We have some privilege resolutions here. We're going to let Secretary read them right now.
Senate Resolution 886 by Senator Harbin of the 16th and others, a resolution recognizing the life and achievements of George Oliver White Jr. and for other purposes. Senate Resolution 887 by Senator Davenport of the 44th and others, a resolution recognizing and commending Dr. George Jones Jr. on his outstanding service as an internal medicine specialist and for other purposes. Senate Resolution 888 by Senator Beach of the 21st, a resolution recognizing and commending Frank Poe and for other purposes. Senate Resolution 889 by Senator Halpern of the 39th, a resolution recognizing and commending Dr. Contessa Metcalf and for other purposes. Senate Resolution 890 by Senator Strickland of the 17th and others, a resolution congratulating the Dutchtown High School girls dance team for winning the 2024 GHSA State High Kick Dance Championship and for other purposes. And Senate Resolution 891 by Senator Strickland of the 17th and others, a resolution congratulating the Ola High School wrestling team for winning the 2024 GHSA Traditional 5A Wrestling State Championship and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution? Chair hearing none, the resolutions are adopted. We have the significant others of the Senator of the 27th and the 28th. Miss Brass and Miss Dolezal are here today. Let's give them a round of applause. All right. Good to have you ladies here. If all senators could come to the chamber. All senators to the chamber, please. We have a special guest coming to the chamber. If everybody can take their seats, everyone take their seats. All senators. Doorkeepers, prepare to secure the chamber. All senators. If all senators could take their seats, recognize the Sergeant at Arms.
The Honorable Brian D. Governor of the great state of Georgia and First Lady Marty Kemp awaits entrance into this chamber.
Mr. Sergeant at Arms, please allow His Excellency, the Governor of the great state of Georgia, and his guests entry into the chamber. It is my honor to recognize the Excellency, our Governor of our great state of Georgia, Mr. Brian P. Kemp, who's doing an outstanding job. I think we all agree in his second term. Georgia continues to be the #1 state to do business. Economic growth is all over the state and opportunities for businesses and families all over. We appreciate from this body all the help that he's given us and things that have mattered, whether it's cutting state income taxes, looking at helping us with school choice measures, or even access to health care, more access to health care opportunities. He's been right there working alongside us here in the Senate and the House chamber, and we greatly appreciate his leadership, appreciate his family being here. First Lady and his daughters are here today. We want to welcome them to this chamber, and at this time I'd like to welcome our governor, Brian P. Kemp, to give us a few words and thank him for a wonderful session. And at this time, I'm honored to have him preside, and let's all give him a warm welcome. Our governor.
Well, thank y'all. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Jones. Thank y'all so much. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Jones, President Pro Tem Kennedy, Leader Gooch, Minority Leader Butler, members of the Senate. Marty and I are glad to be back with you once again at the conclusion of another session. Over the course of these past 3 months, you and your colleagues across the hall have achieved quite a lot. Together, as the Lieutenant Governor just mentioned, we have delivered on the tax acceleration that Lieutenant Governor Jones, Speaker Burns, and I promised last December, which will save taxpayers $3 billion over the next 10 years. We've secured a $2,500 pay raise for our educators, the 4th teacher pay raise since I took office. We've raised pay for state law enforcement, like those who are protecting this building and all of us right now. And you have given final passage to the Peace Officer Loan Repayment Program. We also passed the 9th installment of human trafficking legislation, thanks to the hard work of the best First Lady in the country and the Grace Commission. We've reached historic heights in new funding for our public classrooms, while giving students and families greater choice when it comes to finding the educational options that best fits their needs. I want to thank the Senate for your leadership on this issue starting last year. We also have put more money toward mental health services than ever before. As you know, we've also made incredible one-time investments, meaningful investments in our state's infrastructure. And we've taken another step on tort reform that for the first time in decades will give us the information that we need to tackle this challenge in the right way. I also want to thank you for your support of the amended budget and thank Chairman Tillery and the members of the Appropriations Committee. I know it's been a long, hard slog, and you're probably still slogging or have been recently from what I hear. But I appreciate y'all's good work on the amended budget, and I told the House, don't forget to pass the big budget before you leave tonight, which I know you will do. But it will fund both a lot of critical priorities for our state, and I just want to congratulate you all for your good work on that. Much like last year, the partnership and thoughtful coordination between the Senate, the House, and my office has benefited the people of this state. We will need that same cooperation and teamwork throughout this election year if we are to continue to deliver on the needs of our hardworking people. But as you all know, there are some here with us tonight that will not return next session. They have chosen to retire from this chamber after years of dedicated service. To those who won't be returning next year, I hope you would stand and just let me thank you and the rest of us thank you for your great service to our state. Thank you. Thank you so much for your contributions. Marty and the girls and I, which Lucy and Amy Porter are with me tonight, will wish you well in your next chapters. I also want to give a special thank you to the Secretary of the Senate, David Cook, for his years of service, but also for his friendship to the Kemp family. Since taking this position, he has become an institution in this chamber, and you will be missed, sir. Thank you. So I'm not going to keep you any longer. Let me just close by thanking you again. Tell you to keep up the great work. You're almost done. We'll see you on the other side of sine die. God bless you and good luck the rest of the evening.
Senator from the 14th. Senator from the 14th, what purpose do you rise?
Mr. President, I would move and ask for unanimous consent to reconsider the action of the Senate and redesignate 8 p.m. as the Walker Power Hour.
Hold that thought, Senator. Recognize the senator from the 20th for a motion.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 354.
Senator has moved. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 354, a bill by Senator Walker of the 20th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 10 of Title 43 of the OCGA relating to cosmetologists and barbers so as to exempt from licensure some persons performing certain limited responsibilities and for other purposes. The House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 354, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 10 of Title 43 of the OCGA relating to cosmetologists and barbers so as to exempt from licensure persons performing certain limited responsibilities to provide for definitions and further purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Without objection, I recognize the senator from the 20th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, colleagues. I've been asked to be quick with these bills. The next four bills that you're going to hear about are a result of a study committee we had over the summer on occupational licensing. They're all part of a package of the red tape rollback that the Lieutenant Governor has supported. A lot of hard work has gone into these bills. I want to thank the chairman of the Regulated Industries Committee. These bills came through his committee. He was very supportive. I want to thank the staff of the Lieutenant Governor. They've been very, very helpful in getting me to this point where hopefully we'll see final passage on these measures. So Brad and Enos and Lorianne, I really thank you for your help. And again, thank you to the Lieutenant Governor for his support. These measures are going to help Georgians be able to enter the workforce without as much barriers they have now, and to be able to have a career and earn a wage and improve their economic situation. So it's a way to allow Georgians to lift themselves up without putting barriers of government in their way. Senate Bill 354, you'll remember we had a lot of robust debate on this one. It's the cosmetology bill that allows individuals that want to do shampooing and blow drying of hair only or apply makeup not to have to go to a cosmetology school and spend 17 grand and have 1,500 hours of apprenticeship. It's a good entryway for them to have a career pathway into this field. The changes that the House made on this bill, I think, will assuage some of the concerns we had when I presented it last time. It removes flat irons and curling irons from the hair styling portion. So it specifically states that wouldn't on line 35, it will not include flat iron or curling irons. I ask for your favorable support of this bill that'll help hardworking Georgians get a leg up and support their family. Thank you.
Senator has yielded. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Hearing none. Senators move that the Senate agree to the House substitute to SB 354. All those in favor will vote yea. All those opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. Senator from the 56th, for what purpose do you rise?
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr.
State your
President.
inquiry.
Isn't it true if this bill passes, we'll finally all be able to get a haircut safely in the state of Georgia again?
Senator is passionate about what he speaks. On the agreeing to the House substitute, the yeas are 40 and the nays are 11, and this motion has prevailed. Recognize the senator from the 20th.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 449.
Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 449, a bill by Senator Walker of the 20th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 31712.8 of the OCGA relating to certification as nursing aide and employer-sponsored training and competency examination program, and for other purposes. The House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 449, a bill to be entitled an act to amend various titles of the OCGA so as to provide certain licensure requirements, regulations, and prohibitions relating to nurses and other medical professionals, to amend Code Section 31712.8 of the OCGA relating to certification as nursing aid and employer-sponsored training and competency and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
That objection recognizes the senator from the 20th, the pride of Perry, Georgia.
All right, Mr. President, thank you very much. Senate Bill 195 is should be in your notebook titled Special Action. Senate Bill 449, Special Action book. It's LC 365861S. This this was the bill that we passed unanimously, I believe, to allow people exiting the military that have been a medic or a corpsman to get a expedited license to work in our healthcare field as a CNA or a paramedic or an EMT or a cardiac technician. The House added to it some language has to do with advanced practice registered nurses. They want to have their own license. And this section, part 2 of the bill, allows advanced practice registered nurses who currently just have a RN license. If they've met all the requirements to be an APRN, they would be able to get a APRN license on par with the PAs. Be happy to answer any questions, Mr. President. Otherwise, I ask for your favorable consideration.
You have no questions, Senator.
Thank you.
Does any other senator wish to speak for the measure? Posture that we're in is the senator has moved that we agree to House Substitute SB 449. All those in favor of senator from the 20th will vote yea. All those opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the motion to agree, the yeas are 47, the nays are 1, and this motion has prevailed. Senator from the 20th, if I call on you, you going to remember to vote this time on your own measure?
I hope so, Mr. President.
Recognize the senator from the 20th.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 373.
Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 373, a bill by Senator Walker of the 20th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 4310A13 of the OCGA relating to requirements for licensure in marriage and family therapy, so as to provide for the issuance of expedited licenses by endorsement for marriage and family therapists and for other purposes. The House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 373. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 10A of Title 43 of the OCGA relating to licensing provisions relative to professional counselors, social workers, and marriage and family therapists, so as to revise the definition, to change certain education requirements, and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Without objection, I recognize the senator from the 20th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 373 is our licensed marriage and family therapist bill that we passed. The addition is Section 1, which is some cleanup language for associate professional counselors and professional counselors. Be happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, I ask for your favorable consideration.
You have no questions, Senator.
Thank you.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Hearing none, senators move that the Senate agree to the House substitute on SB 373. All those in favor vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the motion to agree, the yeas are 50 and the nays are 0. And this motion has prevailed. Recognize the senator from the 20th.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 195 as amended by Amendment Number 4.
Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 195, a bill by Senator Walker of the 20th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 43 of the OCGA relating to professions and businesses, so as to repeal Code Section 43134 relating to licenses for transitioning members of the armed forces, and Code Section 43135 relating to expedited license by endorsement for spouses of active or transitioning members of the armed forces and for other purposes. The House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 195. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 43135 of the OCGA relating to expedited license by endorsement for spouses of active or transitioning members of the armed forces and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Without objection, I recognize the senator from the 20th. House and counties. Man of the hour.
All right, Mr. President, thank you. Amendment 4 to Senate Bill 195 is a compilation of best hits, greatest hits of our licensing work we've done. The first 30 pages or so is a compact bill for social work licensure compact. So if you're familiar with compact bills, a certain number of states have to pass it. The language has to be identical, and then you get a licensure compact, which gives portability to the licenses. So that was a House add. The rest of the bill is our professional land surveyors bill that cut down on the number of hours and the number of years they had to be in the field to get a professional land surveying license, in hopes to bring more people into that industry. We have a soil scientist bill in here that decouples the exam. They can take it immediately after their coursework instead of having to wait until their field work is done. And also has a measure to allow people that they know they're going to move to Georgia, they can go ahead and apply for a license in Georgia. If they're not currently a Georgia resident, they can apply for the license in advance. That's what this bill does. These measures are going to create opportunities for hardworking Georgians, and I'd appreciate your support. Happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, I'll yield the well.
You do have a couple questions, Senator.
All right.
Recognize the senator from the 30th.
Does Chairman yield?
Yes, sir.
Since we were talking about all these licensing bills coming up and didn't get a chance to go through the 40 pages, but I appreciate you explaining that. Is there anything, I know there was a bill, I was hoping to see it, that forces the Secretary of State's office, after 60 days of a renewal, to get a license that they automatically go in if they're not renewed? Because we have at least 40,000 cosmetologists right now that cannot renew their license. And if we don't do something soon about this, we're going to have people having to work without one.
I appreciate the question, Senator. We did pass a measure. I think it was Representative Martin had a bill last year that put a 90-day shot clock on that. And I do think there's another bill out there that brings that down to 60 or possibly 30, but it's not in here.
Very much. Thank you.
Recognize the senator from the 27th for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Chairman, do you yield?
Yes, sir.
Chairman, I noticed you asked us for our favorable consideration of your bill, but I noticed on your own bill 2 votes ago you didn't vote. So
I was so overheated, Senator.
Understood. Well, I appreciate that. I do intend to vote for this bill, and I do want to say I appreciate all the work you've done on reforming licensing and getting rid of barriers to work in the state.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You still have one more question, Senator, but you can yield the well if you want to. Got a question from the recognized senator from the 53rd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will the senator yield?
Yes, sir.
Senator, I have more than 200 pages of amendments on my desk, but we're going with amendment number 4. Is
Amendment
that correct?
4, yes, sir. The other 3 were carryovers from last year's session. So by moving that we adopt Senate Bill 195 with Amendment 4, it takes away those other 3 amendments. You might want to direct that to the Secretary of the Senate for confirmation, but that's my understanding.
Senator, is it not true? I don't feel very comfortable voting on something that I have certainly not read. 40 pages here in amendment number 4.
I appreciate that, Senator. You have no more questions.
Thank you very much.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? The senator from the 20th has moved that the Senate agrees to the House substitute as amended by Amendment 4 on Senate Bill 195. All those in favor will vote aye. All those opposed, no. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the motion to agree, the yeas are 47, the nays are 3, and this motion has prevailed. Recognize the senator from the 45th for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate adopt the conference committee report on HB 514.
Senators move. Secretary, read the caption.
The Conference Committee report on House Bill 514-2. The Committee of Conference on House Bill 514 by Senator Brass of the 28th and others. Committee of Conference substitute to House Bill 514, a bill to be taught an act to amend Chapter 66 of Title 36 of the OCGA relating to zoning procedures, so as to provide for the length and renewal of certain moratoriums related to zoning decisions and for the purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
That objection recognized senator from the 45th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I bring before you the conference committee report on HB 514. It has to do with single-family dwellings and townhomes. It limits the time that a local government can put a moratorium on zonings up to 180 days. And there are certain specific situations where they can waive that and extend it. It also reinforces some requirements on regulatory fees and allows local governments to waive development fees on single-family homes that are 2,500 square feet or less. And it also requires public transparency or more public transparency on zonings. With that, Mr. President, be happy to answer any questions or yield the will.
You do have a couple of questions, Senator. Recognize senator from the 37th.
Does the gentleman yield?
I do.
Appreciate the gentleman well. I just am trying to process these conference committee reports, and I wanted to know, does this have any effect whatsoever on the build-to-rent housing solution and those projects?
Yeah, it's my understanding dealing with build to rent, you know, that would be a zoning requirement. No, it doesn't, because basically the build to rent, when you're going through a zoning process on, say, single family dwelling community or a townhome community, those board of commissioners or the city council, when they impose those zonings, they could either put a rental restriction on there of 10-20%, or they could not have that at all. So they can restrict that, and this does not affect that at all.
What does the gentleman further yield?
Yes.
What does what kind of moratoriums does this limit to 180 days specifically?
Most all of them, unless there's some major like infrastructure issues, say there's no sewer or water that they're not able to get to those homes for that development, they could continue that moratorium. But most other moratoriums, it would limit it to that 180 days, because you got a lot of municipalities, some that are putting moratoriums on single family or townhomes or certain zoning conditions for years at a time.
Okay, thank you.
You have one more question, Senator. Recognize Senator from 36.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Yield.
I do.
Thank you. It appears that, and I'm looking particularly at the limitation on temporary moratoriums. Doesn't this boil down to the state interfering with local control and prohibiting actions by a political subdivision that they may wish to take? And in this vast state with 159 counties and Lord knows how many cities, isn't it true that there are local things that could be occurring that call for local control to really rule the day?
Yeah, and I would say that, overall it doesn't negate local control. Like I said, certain issues dealing with utilities and those factors, they could extend that moratorium. But, 180 days, 6 months is quite a long time. And, in my home county in Gwinnett, where we've got exploding growth and we've got housing shortages, I think this helps to promote, make sure that municipalities just aren't trying to clamp down on certain zoning controls. And then also I would say that, dealing with waiving the fees on the development fees for houses that are 2,500 square feet or less, that's dealing with more workforce housing to promote that in local municipalities as well.
If I further yield, I'd like to ask you a question about what's the posture of the Georgia Municipal Association that represents the cities all across our state?
Yeah, great question, Senator. They're neutral on this. They took a neutral position.
Neutral.
Yes, ma'am.
So they're just kind of neutral.
Yeah, they're not opposed and they're not for. They're neutral.
But one could easily see a scenario where a mayor or a city council would feel themselves to be hamstrung by this legislation. Isn't that the case?
No, I would say, a moratorium for 180 days, on single family is quite a long time. And if there's, substantial issues with utilities and they're not able to serve that with sewer, water, or power, they could extend that moratorium.
But isn't it true that the people closest to the ground and that get elected locally to, to do the best that they can for their local citizenry, their voters at home, that they're the ones with the knowledge as to what kind of moratoriums they may wish to utilize at any given point? Isn't that just the
I would say
that
in some instances there needs to be controls on how long you have a moratorium if you're putting them on for frivolous issues. Like I said, in my home county, we've got a workforce housing shortage in our county, so promoting that I think is very important with the growth. I mean, our county's expected to grow. We're right at 1 million people. We're supposed to have about 1.5 million in 20 years. So we need to make sure that there's guardrails on that, in my opinion.
Thank you for entertaining my question. I just would close with saying it's true that if you really want to have some loyalty to the concept of local control, you might want to consider voting against this bill on that basis. Thank you.
You have no more questions, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Recognize Senator from 56.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have an enormous amount of respect for my good friend, the senator from the 45th. This bill started in the House very different, and I think it has changed a little bit. But I want us to remember how we all feel every time the federal government tells the state government what to do. We don't like it because we want to be autonomous. It is no different than our cities and our counties. We're telling them how they're going to run their local municipalities. The best government is the one closest to the people, the one you're electing on your city council, your mayor, your county commissioners and chairman. If they want to have a longer delay because they're looking at broader issues that impact their community, no matter what those issues are, why are we as state government lording over them? This is as local control as it gets. I certainly appreciate some of the other work, and again, great deal of respect to Senator 45th, who does a phenomenal job for his constituents. But ladies and gentlemen, if we start legislating everything a city and a county is going to do for how they're going to set up zoning, how they're going to set up their neighborhoods, and what they're going to do, it's all to what end? Where does this stop? In the name of what? This is not a good bill. If you talk to your city council members, your mayors and your county commissioners, I bet you won't find one person that wants this bill. So let's keep local control just that. And let's talk about this a little further in the years to come. I'd ask you to vote against the conference committee report for House Bill 514.
In the House. That's what he wants.
Really? What was Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? The senator has moved that the Senate adopt the conference committee on HB 514, number 2. All those in favor will vote yea. All those opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the adoption of the conference committee, the yeas are 12 and the nays are 40. So this measure has failed. Recognize the senator from the 45th for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate adopt the conference committee report on SB 240.
Secretary, read the caption.
Committee of Conference Report on Senate Bill 240 by Senator Walker of the 20th and others. Committee of Conference substitute to Senate Bill 240, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 3 of Title 47 of the OCGA relating to the Teachers Retirement of Georgia, so to provide that certain employees of charter schools who may be eligible for membership in the retirement system as a result of such employment shall continue to be eligible unless the nonprofit governing board of the charter school elects to provide such employees with an alternative retirement plan and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Without objection, I recognize the senator from the 45th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I bring the conference committee report on SB 240. This has to do with a limited number of our charter schools, our state charter schools in the state. Some of them using management companies. They've got 401k benefits for their teachers and for their administration, and this bill would bring them into compliance on some of the management companies dealing with the 401k, so they could provide that with for the teachers. It also it's limited to bring those into compliance, and then also allow the management of the hiring and firing of those teachers as well. Be happy to answer any questions, Mr. President.
Senator. Recognize the senator from the 46 for a question. Senator from the 46.
Thank you, Mr. President. So we're back to alternative investments now in this, letting folks spend up to 10% on options and warrants and private equity investments that are the high-risk investments.
I wouldn't say it would necessarily be high-risk investments, but it would be, it's a separate 401k program for those charter schools that have the management companies.
But there's another piece to this bill, correct, that applies to all major retirement systems, the state employees' retirement?
Yes.
So when you look at section, I guess it's in section 1 of your bill. No, section 2, I guess, is adding, letting all these other large retirement systems do these non-publicly traded, we'll call them investments that are privately placed or very illiquid.
Yeah, what this is intended to do is for those charter schools
Does
that have the
Section
management
2
companies.
Section 2 in any way apply to charter schools, though?
Well, that's already in code section. It's just
Yeah.
adding that to the charter schools.
Well, no,
You look
what-
up in section 1.
Will you further yield?
Sure.
So lines 45 to 47, though, take it out of the law where they were limited to 5%. So now you're letting them go up to the other limits of 10% like other investments. All our state employees now are about to be gambling with 10% of their retirement system. Probably not a good evening to use the word gambling since we're still waiting on the House to take action on our sports betting bills.
Then it still has the 5% if you look at C.
It just strikes it, though, right?
No, if you look up above D at C, it still has the 5% of such systems assets at any time.
That's for the teachers. Didn't we just pass a bill to change that last week? That's okay. I'll read it.
Thank you.
You have no other questions, Senator?
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, this is dealing with a finite number of the state charter schools that have management companies. It's a very small percentage of them where they have their own private 401k programs, and it brings them where they can provide a retirement plan for those teachers for those few charter schools, and that's all it deals with. Ask for your favorable consideration. I yield the well.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? The senator from the 45th moved that the Senate adopt the conference committee report on SB 240. All those in favor of his motion will vote yea. All those opposed, no. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the adoption of the conference committee report, the yeas are 26 and the nays are 26, and this measure has failed. Recognize the senator from the 45th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Could I move to reconsider that vote?
You may. You may. Senators move for reconsideration. Is there objection? There's objection. Senators move. So, Senator, on a special action. So, Senator, I actually told you wrong up here at the roster. You can reconsider the loss. So you did move for us to reconsider. There was objection to it, so we're going to vote on reconsidering the vote. So all those in favor of the motion to reconsider will vote yay. All those opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. Senator from the 45th, what purpose you rise?
Mr. President, parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Isn't it true that this is only for a finite number of the state charter school systems in the state, and this will allow them to have a 401k, a retirement program for their teachers, and it also will put them into compliance with IRS, which they're currently not?
Senator is passionate about what he speaks. The motion on reconsideration is the yeas are 23 and the nays are 30, and this motion has failed. Recognize the senator from the 28th.
Mr. President, I move that we lift HB 384 off the table.
The senator from the 28th has moved that we lift HB 384 off the table. Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 384, a bill by Representative Henderson of the 113th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 3329 3.2 of the OCGA relating to individual accident and sickness insurance coverage for mammograms, pap smears, and prostate-specific antigen tests, so as to provide for annual notification by insurers for male insurance of coverage for prostate-specific antigen tests and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Insurance and Labor recommends that this do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Walker of the 20th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection? Hearing none, House Bill 384 is removed from the table, and I recognize the senator from the 28th to speak to the measure.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Colleagues, I bring you HB 384. I've been working with Representative Sharon Henderson over in the House on this, and her husband, Jerome, who's also her chief of staff, and worked with the chairman, distinguished chairman of insurance. Appreciate all his help on this. This bill is actually exact language of something we did a couple years ago with breast cancer. We're now doing it with prostate-specific antigen tests, simply just requiring that the insurance company notify the insured, a male insured, of coverage for some of these different tests. So if they cover certain tests, they just need to notify males over the age of 45 or males over the age of 40 if ordered by a physician. So that's it. I'll yield for questions.
You have no questions, Senator.
I urge your favorable support for HB 384.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Question is on the passage of the bill. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. Recognize the senator from the 52nd. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 49, the nays are 3. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Now recognize senator from the 52nd for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate disagree to the House amendment to the Senate substitute to H.R. 1022.
The senator has moved. Secretary, read the caption.
House Resolution 1022, a resolution by Representative Camp of the 135th and others, a resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution so as to provide for local governments to have the option to offer a statewide homestead exemption from ad valorem taxes in an amount equal to any amount by which the current year assessed value of a homestead exceeds the inflation rate and for other purposes. The Senate offers the following substitute to House Resolution 1022, a resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution so as to authorize the General Assembly to provide by general law for a statewide homestead exemption and for other purposes. Additionally, the House offers the following amendment to amend the Senate substitute to House Resolution 1022 by replacing lines 2 through 4 with the following. Grant an additional $2,000 statewide homestead exemption for all local taxing jurisdictions and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Without objection, I recognize the senator from the 52nd.
President, this is the resolution that goes with our property tax cap bill that we're doing, and I think we're really close to an agreement overall. But they had added on the $2,000 homestead exemption onto this bill to put it in with this bill, which I think we probably would agree to. However, when I was looking at the language, It's not a homestead exemption of $2,000. It's $2,000 off the whole bill, tax bill. I don't think that was their intention. So I know we're some of us would probably just want to move to agree to that, but we need to get this language fixed and send it back over to the House for that.
You have no questions, sir? Is there objection to the motion? Without objection. Moving on to House Bill 926. House Bill 926. I recognize the senator from the 46.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 926, a bill by Representative Reeves of the 99th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 17 of the OCGA relating to criminal procedure, so to provide for issuance of certificates by a court for purposes of demonstrating rehabilitation and good moral character and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Judiciary recommends that this do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Strickland of the 17th District Chairman. The Senate Committee on Judiciary offers the following substitute to House Bill 926, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 15 of the OCGA relating to courts, so as to include healthcare workers and emergency healthcare workers as special classes relating to battery by a juvenile and for other purposes. Additionally, Senator Tillery of the 19th offers the following amendment to amend the substitute to House Bill 926 by inserting the following lines 212 and renumbering and remaining section. Said title is further amended in Code Section 4523 relating to classes of driver's licenses by revising subsections C and D and for other purposes. Additionally, Senator James of the 35th and others offered the following Amendment 2 to amend House Bill 926 by inserting on line 13 before to provide for related matters the following. To amend Code Section 17420.1 of the OCGA relating to investigation of family violence, predominant aggressor defined, preparation of written report, review of report by defendant arrested for family violence, and compilation of statistics and further purposes. Additionally, Senator Harbin of the 16th and others offered the following Amendment 3 to amend the Senate Committee on Judiciary substitute to House Bill 926 by inserting after battery by a juvenile on line 3 the following, and for other purposes. Additionally, Senator Kauser of the 46 offers the following Amendment 4 to amend House Bill 926 by inserting after juvenile on line 3 the following. To amend Title 17 of the OCGA relating to criminal procedure so as to revise provisions relating to procedure for arrests by citation for motor vehicle violations in lieu of arrests for certain offenses by inserting between lines 251 and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to removing it from the table? Hearing none, I recognize the senator from the 46.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senators, this started off as a very simple bill. I've got some passengers that have gotten on board, I think, on these amendments. But this is a bill, and I had a conversation in the hall today from one of the judges in Fulton County Municipal Court. They strongly endorse this. Currently, people can get their license suspended if they fail to show up for a speeding ticket. And you can't get it back till your case is resolved. It takes 12 to 18 months in Fulton County to do that. So people are losing their license for simply missing a court date on minor things. This allows you to continue driving once you go clear that up without having to have a suspension. It does not apply to serious offenses like DUI or reckless driving or other things. You would still be suspended during the pendency, but on the minor type traffic offenses, it avoids an unnecessary license suspension. I have an amendment that I'm bringing, amendment number 4, at the request of the Georgia Sheriff's Departments, and it is to rectify a mistake in a bill we passed earlier that required you to arrest people on certain citations if they were under 17 years old. And if they were over 18, you could get a citation instead of being arrested, and they meant it to be the reverse, and this just clears the law back up to make it the way it was, where you don't have to arrest kids for misdemeanor offenses. You can write them a citation for certain things like shoplifting, et cetera. Just puts the law back the way it was before that mistake was made. I'm happy to answer any questions on the underlying bill or amendment number 4. I don't know about amendments 1, 2, and 3. I guess we'll hear shortly about those.
You have no questions, Senator.
Thank you. I yield the well. Please vote yes for the bill and for amendment 4.
All right, is any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? I'm going to. All right, so we will start with Amendment 4. Actually, that's Senator from the, we'll start with Amendment 1. The author of it was from the Senator from the 19th. Recognize Senator from the 19th. Speak to Amendment 1.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the Senate, amendment number 1 is extremely simple. I have a constituent back home who enjoys to driving RVs. Our code is a little ambiguous. It says that if you're driving an RV, you don't need to have a CDL license. But then it says if you drive a vehicle that's over 26,000 pounds, you do have to have a CDL license. Right now, we have RVs in our state. They're starting to make them bigger. They're over 26,000 pounds. So this amendment clearly says if it's a recreational vehicle like an RV, you don't have to have a CDL, even if it's over 26,000 pounds. But if it isn't an RV and it's still over 26,000 pounds, then you clearly do. It clears this up so we don't end up in a situation where someone in a vehicle like this accidentally has an accident, and then the insurance company is able to use this as some type of, discrepancy to say that they wouldn't have coverage. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, Mr. President, I'll yield the well.
You do have a couple questions, Senator. Recognize the Senator from the 47th.
President, with the Senator,
I yield.
The other states, I know I see people going up and down. Grandpa's driving the RV down the road. What do other states do?
What do other states do? I'm not sure, but I will tell you what our DDS actually has said and has issued a policy, and we've gotten at least email confirmation of, is that RVs do not require a CDL. However, if the DDS is saying they don't and the code's saying they will, I don't think that we have any discrepancy about what an insurance company would do if they had an opportunity to avoid a liability in an accident.
I remember those Chevy Chase movies where I watched the RV pulling the Jeep that's got the boat behind it. Is that going to be the next thing?
I hope not, but all we're trying to do is make sure that the code is clear and the code matches policy, and right now the code doesn't match policy. Mr. President, if there are no further questions, I'll yield the well.
There are no more questions.
Thank you. Ask your favorable consideration of Amendment 1.
Recognize the Senator from the 35th to speak to Amendment 2.
Can I? Yes, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to speak from my seat. Mr. President and Senators, this amendment is the domestic violence bill that I brought before you a few weeks ago, and it passed unanimously, well, except for one vote, but through all the other committees, it passed unanimously. It got over in the House and got held up, but it would probably provide, it will provide specific incident reporting requirements for law enforcement officers responding to incidents of actual or alleged family violence. It'll check for protective orders, and it will look into past incidents. So we are working to pass this particular amendment on this bill, because overall this bill is about making sure police have all the information they need to protect victims of family violence better, prevent further harm of domestic violence, and make informed decisions that improve safety for all involved. It passed, as I said, unanimously in all of the different committees of the Senate and on the floor, except for one vote with Senator Moore. I don't know his number. What's this? Anyway, except for one vote, 53rd. And it was helped to be written by our senator from the 17th, who is the chairman of Judiciary. So I ask your favorable consideration to help save lives and help police be able to do their jobs. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. If not, I yield the will.
You have no questions, Senator.
Thank you very much.
For Amendment 3, I recognize the senator from the 16th. Speak to the measure.
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
I ask that we withdraw. I would like to withdraw Amendment 3.
All right. Senator has asked to withdraw his amendment, Amendment 3. Is there no objection? The amendment is withdrawn. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Would the senator like to close debate? Senator is waived. Is there objection to the previous question be it ordered? Chair hears none. Previous question is ordered. The question is on adoption of Amendment 1, authored by the senator from the 19th. Is there objection to Amendment 1? Hearing none, Amendment 1 is adopted. On to Amendment 2, authored by the senator from the 35th. The question is on the adoption of Amendment 2. Is there objection? Without objection, Amendment 2 is adopted. Question is on Amendment 4, authored by senator from the 46th. Is there objection to Amendment 4? Without objection, Amendment 4 is added. Questions on the adoption of the committee substitute as amended. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute as amended? Hearing none, the committee substitute as amended is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Question is on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor of the bill vote yea, opposed nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, yeas are 51, the nays are 1. This bill having been received, the requisite constitutional majority is therefore passed by substitute. Recognize the senator from the 24. For motion.
Mr. President, I ask that House Bill 1253 be lifted from the table.
Senator has moved that House Bill 1253 be lifted from the table. Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 1253, a bill by Representative Anderson of the 10th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 2 of Chapter 8 of Title 50 of the OCGA relating to regional commissions so as to revise the composition of the governing council for regional commissions and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Government Oversight recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Harbin of the 16th District Chairman. The Senate Committee on Government Oversight offers the following substitute to House Bill 1253. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 36 of the OCGA relating to general provisions applicable to counties only, so to provide for a new category of district and for the purposes. Additionally, Senator Anna Bitarte of the 31st and others offered the following amendment to amend the Senate Committee on Government Oversight substitute to House Bill 1253 by inserting after programs on line 6 the following: to amend Part 2 of Article 4 of Chapter 13 of Title 45 and Chapter 3 of Title 50 of the OCGA relating to the Capital Arts Standards Commission and state flag, seal, and other symbols respectively, and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the senator from the 24th. Is there objection? Without objection, recognize the senator from the 24th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I bring you House Bill 1253. This is a bill that we should have passed 20 years ago. This is a bill where rural counties that are struggling to provide service, they can come, 3 or more counties can come together to provide service as simple as water, sewer, trash, so they can take care of the great people of the great state of Georgia. I ask you to vote for the bill, vote green, and I got a friendly amendment coming.
Senator has yielded the well. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Recognize the senator from the 31st to speak to the amendment. Senator from the 9th.
I'm gonna wait.
Thank you, Mr. President. Amendment number 1. We've already debated this at length, a lot of length, if that's even a statement. But basically, this is the Clarence Thomas statue amendment. And basically, this amendment is moving the statue from the state capitol to the Nathan Deal Judicial Center. I think we all know probably where we stand and how we would vote, and I ask for favorable consideration. Mr. President, I yield the well.
Senator has yielded. Now recognize senator from the 9th. What purpose do you rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
I would like a ruling on germaneness, please.
Ruling on germaneness. Sir, this amendment?
Yes, sir.
All right. Sit tight. On the question of germaneness, looking at it, Senator, it's just going to have to be up to each and every senator to decide on themselves, red or green vote on this.
Mr. President,
State your inquiry.
point of order. Appeal, ruling of the chair.
All right, get everybody back in.
Appeal the ruling of the chair. The senator's moved to appeal the ruling of the chair. Shall the ruling of the chair be sustained? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. Secretary, unlock the machine. On challenging the ruling of the chair. The ayes are 32, nays are 21. Now we're going to take up amendment number 1. We have an objection on amendment number 1. All those in favor of amendment number 1 will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the adoption of the amendment, the ayes are 31, the nays are 22, and the amendment is adopted. The question is on the adoption of the committee substitute as amended. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute as amended? Hearing none, the committee substitute as amended is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. Report of committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none. Main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor of the vote, yea. All those opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of HB 1253 by substitute, the yeas are 32 and the nays are 22. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. Recognize Senator from the 29th.
Mr. President, I ask that House Bill 279 be lifted from the table.
Senators move that House Bill 279 be taken from the table. Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 279, a bill by Representative Gamble of the 15th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 32 of Title 33 of the OCGA relating to property insurance, so as to provide for an insurance premium discount or rate reduction for property owners and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Insurance and Labor offers the following substitute to House Bill 279, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 32 of Title 33 of the OCGA relating to property insurance, so as to provide for an insurance premium discount and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Without objection, recognize the Senator from the 29th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I come before you. I bring something to you that's very familiar, something that we voted out of this chamber twice before. We all know that in the state of Georgia we have unique challenges, especially when it comes to the coast and the west side of the state. The 28th has suffered as tornadoes have torn through his district. We've had things that have impacted the senator from the 1st with the hurricanes and everything coming over from Florida. All this bill does is simply offer and allow discounts to be given to citizens that live in the Georgia that choose to fortify their homes when they build them to help catastrophes that impact our state. This legislation codifies citizens the opportunity to use the fortified building standards that are recognized throughout the United States. It's between them and their insurance companies if damage should come to their homes. I ask for consideration, and I please ask for everyone to vote green on House Bill 279. If there are no questions, Mr. President, I yield the well.
If you have no questions, Senator.
Thank you, sir.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Question is on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Question is on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor of the bill vote yea. Opposed, nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 51, the nays are 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. Recognize the senator from the 39th. For what purpose do you rise?
I rise to ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 22nd for business inside the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 22nd is excused. Moving on to House Bill 1049, I recognize the senator from the 20th. Senator from the 20th. Celebrating all his victories from earlier, I guess. I'm going to go to House Bill 1407. Recognizing the senator from the 47th.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that we remove House Bill 1407 off the table.
Without objection, Secretary, read the caption. I'm sorry, Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 1407, a bill by Representative LaHood of the 175th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 70 of Title 36 of the OCGA relating to coordinated and comprehensive planning and service delivery by counties and municipalities, so as to revise provisions for establishing, negotiating, reviewing, revising, and filing local government service delivery strategies and further purposes. The Senate Committee on State and Local Governmental Operations General recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Gannon, the 47th District Chairman. The State and Local Governmental Operations General Committee offers the following substitute to House Bill 1407, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 70 of Title 36 of the OCGA relating to coordinated and comprehensive planning and service delivery by counties and municipalities and for the purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Without objection, recognize the senator from the 47th.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hours getting late. Said this bill is a result of a study committee that Senator Burns and our good friend from the 5th, the senator from the 23rd and the senator from the 5th, they served on. What this bill does is help eliminate some of the fighting between cities and counties. Basically, in a nutshell, it's going to put some teeth into some things for clawback, so in case they can't get to an agreement, this will hold us accountable and hold those local governments. It'll put some penalties in for them, put some standards in for DCA on some mapping standards and what's going on with it. It's supported by both GMA and ACCG. I won't take anybody's more time. Unless there's questions, I'll yield the well.
You have no questions, sir.
Thank you. Ask for their favorable consideration.
All right. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Question is on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor of the bill vote yea. Opposed, nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. Senator from the 7th. For what purpose do you rise?
I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 6th for business inside the
I
Capitol.
have to wait till after this vote, Senator. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 46 and nays are 3. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. Recognize the senator from the 20th. House Bill 1049. I'm sorry, Senator, you need to make a motion first.
I'll make a motion. Just 1 second. I'll make it.
Mr. President, he moves that Senate Bill 10, is it House Bill? House Bill 1049 be lifted from the table.
Senator's gotten so important, he's got other people speaking for him now, huh? You know what? I'm not even sure we need to call on him, actually. Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 1049, a bill by Representative Williamson of the 112th and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 52 of Title 33 of the OCGA relating to assumption reinsurance agreements so as to enact the Insurance Business Transfer Act and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Insurance and Labor recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Walker of the 20th District Chairman. The Senate Committee on Insurance and Labor offers the following substitute to House Bill 1049. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapters 36 and 52 of Title 33 of the OCGA relating to the Georgia Insurers Solvency Pool and Assumption Reinsurance Agreements, respectively, so as to enact the Insurance Business Transfer Act and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Do you want me to recognize?
And we have situations where an insurance company may have a book of workers' comp business and they decide they want to focus on more property insurance and get out of the work comp market, and they just want to sell their work comp book. Or we may have a company that is in the health insurance and Medicare supplement business and they want to sell their health insurance book and focus on Medicare supplements. This bill would allow, under certain conditions, the insurance company to sell a portion of their book of business. It also makes sure it protects the state guarantee fund. We hope this measure will allow us to see that attract more Georgia domiciled insurance companies and will be a good economic development bill for the insurance industry. Be happy to answer any questions, Mr. President.
You have no questions, Senator.
Thank you. I appreciate your yes vote.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Questions on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of committee, which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill. All those in favor vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 49, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. Recognize the senator from the 29th for motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we lift H.R. 1164 from the table.
Senators move that remove H.R. 1164 from the table. Secretary, read the caption.
House Resolution 1164, a resolution by Representative Hugley of the 141st and others, a resolution honoring the life of the Honorable Richard H. Smith and dedicating an interchange in his memory and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Transportation recommends that this resolution do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Dolezal of the 27th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Without objection, I recognize the senator from the 29th.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Special recognition to my colleague from the 15th. H.R. 1164 does something that needs to be done. It honors the life of the Honorable Richard H. Smith by dedicating an interchange in his memory. Whereas the Honorable Richard H. Smith has long been recognized by the citizens of this state.
Hey, Senator, hold on one second. Could everybody, I have everybody's attention, please. Senator's presenting a resolution for a well-respected member of this Capitol. So if I could have everybody's attention, please. Sorry, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. Whereas the Honorable Richard H. Smith has long been recognized by the citizens of this state for the vital role that he has played in leadership and his deep personal commitment to the welfare of the citizens of Georgia. And whereas a native of Wrightsville, Georgia, Representative Smith graduated from Morgan County High School and furthered his education by earning a Bachelor of Science from Louisiana State University in 1968 and a Master of Science from the University of Florida in 1970. Whereas he began his career with the University of Florida Cooperative Extension Service in